thank you all for joining the AI for BFCM webinar with limited supply and Fulfil. So I want to make this as broadly applicable for everyone. So while we have some use cases about how you can use AI if you're a Fulfil merchant, as I know we have a few of those on this call, I also want to talk through how anyone, regardless of platform, or if there's no platform being used, and a lot of you are using Sheets, can still benefit from utilizing AI. So with that, let's jump right in. So for our agenda, I want to make it as tactical as possible. We'll actually talk through specific use cases, how you can implement them, or how you can propose them to your teams who will be implementing them. And I want to break it down by team. So sales and customer support use cases, planning and operations, and some sample tooling, as well as answering any questions as they come up. So again, you really should be able to leave the session with tactical insights. So with that, let's jump right in and maybe give everyone a framework for how to think about implementing some automation and some AI usage. So if you don't have a source of truth, an ERP or an OMS or IMS, you can still pull the data, at least from a sales perspective, out of Shopify or some of your other channels that can give you relevant sales data, order data, that can help you optimize some of your offers. And we'll talk through some of those use cases. If you do have Fulfil, all of these use cases can be done using our MCP connector with Claude. So you can pull the data directly into the AI and ask the questions or use some of the skills that I'll walk through later. Really want to highlight that you shouldn't be using AI for the sake of using AI. It should really add value to your workflow, and it should be able to give you valuable insights that would have been hard to get otherwise. So figure out the problem, figure out the question you're trying to answer, and then use AI to answer that rather than having to do the analysis yourself. I would start by proofing out a concept. So we'll talk through kind of the lowest lift effort you can put in with an export and asking Claude something, and then if you see value in it, automating it, building out a full tooling to make it so that this is done automatically for your team consistently. We find it the most valuable to have these automations in place with actual consistency, but it helps to make sure that there's actually value in investing in that first. So those would be the kind of initial frameworks to use when determining when to use AI. So going into some of the actual tangible use cases, I think with sales, it's a little easier to understand this. Now, I do want to highlight that there are a lot of use cases for AI in marketing. There are a lot of other webinars and podcasts about that, especially as it comes to generative content creation. We are going to focus more on the analysis side, ops, but I want to highlight some other use cases on the sales side to capture some of the upside. So there were a few different use cases that you can capture using sales data. So let's say you just have Shopify. You could get an export of all of your sales data with the line items, and there's a few different analyses you can run. So the first one that came to mind is a free shipping threshold analysis. You can see what your AOV is, but not just AOV as the one metric of what's my average over all my orders. Look at the different thresholds. Do you have common buckets that you see? Is there a $30 threshold of a certain type of user? Is there a $50 threshold or a $100 threshold? And then you can determine what's the right place to put your free shipping offer, which will increase your AOV, because you might have a large group of buyers that are at a certain threshold. And if you increase the shipping threshold a little bit more, they might be prompted to buy that additional item and really optimize the upsell opportunity there. So when you want to implement this, it's as simple as exporting the Shopify data, or again, if you are a Fulfil merchant, utilizing our MCP integration, which will have access to the data. And we actually have a skill on the Fulfil website, which we'll link to in the chat, which can be used agnostic of where you're inputting the data to help you run this analysis. And it'll give you an output of a chart of these are my thresholds, and give you a recommendation of where you should implement the free shipping option on your website based on the analysis it runs. Again, the more data you give it, the better. So CSVs can get a little limiting there, but if you can get the data out of Shopify, would recommend doing so. So check out on our website that skill. Otherwise, if you just want to prompt the AI yourself, you can feed it the sales data and say, help me assess what the free shipping threshold should be based on this criteria, and give me the different buckets of sales that I have with the current order data. Second use case based on sales data that you can run, and which merchandising teams find very helpful. I'm sure many of them have already, and your marketing teams have already determined what bundles you're going to offer for this BFCM. But if they haven't, and you're still evaluating what you want to bundle or how you want to produce these bundles, you can run cart analysis on order data and see what do people commonly buy together. What are my different types of consumers? Again, it's harder for you to run that analysis yourself, but AI is very good at weeding through a lot of order data and determining, oh, these two items are bought together. These two categories are bought very often with this type of consumer. You might want to create a bundle for this, or this item is something that is not purchased as frequently, but could be if you bundled it with this combination. So it can really help put together different bundle offerings for you, which can, again, increase AOV, as well as maybe help you sell through some stale inventory. So it can also help you run the analysis that way. And you can determine how you want to build these bundles and offer sales on your website. Again, just getting sales data out of whatever system you want to, whatever marketplace you're selling on, whatever channel you have that order data in, and having it run that analysis for you. And so some tips for that. There are some tools that do a little bit better of a job, or you just need to implement the right prompt. So for Claude specifically, you want to turn on the analysis skill. When you give it a very robust CSV, it can run through that data and actually run SQL queries itself, populate output, put together an artifact with the charts that you can interact with and run filters on for if you have different customer segments, different thresholds, different items. So would definitely recommend enabling those skills in Claude for artifacts and enabling the analysis option, as it will give you far better results. Standard ChatGPT and Claude will obviously give you some information, but want to make sure you're getting the most out of these tools. And as we're going through this, I know I'm talking quickly, so please do use the Q&A. There is that function in the chat you should see, and we'll be getting to those as we go through. So click on, should be on the bottom of your screen, and ask any questions you might have as we're going through this. So with that, we can move into some of the planning and inventory. So again, a lot of these decisions likely will have been made already, or should have been made already, as we're just a few weeks out from BFCM. But if you do have some last minute optimization you want to run on your inventory position, there's a lot of different ways that you can run this data. Again, just looking at sales data, even if you can't feed the AI your current inventory position or your fulfillment nodes. Again, if you do have a central source of truth, or you are able to feed that data directly into the AI, obviously that helps provide it more insight into where your current inventory is and how you can load balance there. But even if you don't have that and you just want to base it off of sales data, you can, with the delivery addresses, understand where your shipments are going and balance your inventory. You might have certain buying profiles for certain geographies that you weren't even aware of. So there might be certain items that do better in certain geographies. You want to make sure you're overstocked on those items in those geographies. Or you might be running low of inventory in a certain area. And if you do have East and West Coast fulfillment, or you have fulfillment in different countries, especially with some of the tariff implications now, you want to make sure those are there first. You want to make sure you have the inventory there before the sale is made, so you're not crossing the border with those goods upon sale. So if you want to run that analysis, again, taking the sales data, looking at the delivery address, it can put together a heat map for you, showing you where most of your orders are going. You can then filter it by product, by category, and see where what types of items are sold and what you might need to put in different locations. Now, if you do have additional information on where your current fulfillment nodes are, what inventory you currently have on hand, it can get far more robust. And it can help you plan the actual transfers you might need to make, or tell you to move certain items by certain days. And it can also help you identify some of the stale inventory as well. So that is the other main use case for inventory balancing on the ops side, strictly based on sales data and current inventory data. So that should be easy enough, again, to implement for anyone with the basic AI chat tools: CSV of your sales data, CSV of your inventory on hand, and the addresses of your fulfillment nodes. And it should be able to help you there with just that basic information. So moving on into cartonization. So cartonization is something that's been done even without AI. So it's been around for a bit, and it's something that helps you optimize your boxes. So you can make sure you're packaging things as efficiently as possible. You want to make sure that you're saving money wherever you can. So in some of our in the use cases in the previous slide, we're really looking at top line. How do I capture my upside? How do I sell more? How do I increase my AOV? And how do I optimize that side? The other side of the equation to make sure you're boosting your margin is making sure you're obviously saving money on every shipment that goes out. So that can be by load balancing and making sure that the inventory is closest to the customer, but that can also be on making sure that you're packaging things as effectively as possible, and you want to fit things into the smallest box. And so either by, if you're working with a 3PL, telling them what to package things in. So if you have an integration, I think there's certain tools on Shopify, or if you're working with your ERP, making sure the boxes are defined there using cartonization logic. There's two options. As I said, the low lift way for you to run some optimization is take an export of all of your line items and their dimensions and what your box types are. And it can help you identify ways for improvement. Oh, you shipped it in this box. It could have gone in this box, and that would have been much smaller. Or it can even help you identify, okay, these are your common dim weights for your packages. Maybe this is a conversation for you to have with your main carrier partner and say, if you can negotiate a better rate for this, or if everything is coming in under a pound and you're shipping it in mailers. Okay, that's another use case for, I should rather optimize for that when I am trying to negotiate with the carriers, and this is what I need to plan for. Additionally, going back to the conversation of what do I bundle together, it can also help you identify, oh, if you bundled these two products together, that might now have to go into a way bigger box, and the increased AOV is not going to make up for the fact that the shipping cost now jumped up substantially because you decide to bundle two larger products, where if you bundle maybe this other category of product together, you can still increase your AOV while keeping the shipping costs low. So it can really help you run all of those types of analyses, which oftentimes when you're thinking about what to sell, it might not come top of mind, and it's not an easy analysis to run without AI. But now if you do feed it enough data on your dimensions, your box sizes, it can make it a lot easier to do so. So that is the main use case there on inventory and cartonization. And then the third one that we brought up, and this is can really only be done if you do have a WMS and you're doing your own fulfillment, is the main use case, where you can determine how you should be placing your items together. So similar to running cart analysis, or running, especially if you're going to run promotions with different bundles than you usually do, the way you can optimize where you put those products in the warehouse. So obviously you want to make sure products that are going to be purchased together are linked and are put near by each other in the warehouse, so pickers are not walking as much. That way you can cut down pick times, ship the most, and make sure that they are able to get out the most packages in the fastest amount of time. Obviously everyone's competing with that Amazon expectation, and everyone expects their shipments to go out same day and get to them as soon as possible. So whatever you can do to shave off seconds on your picking time, you should try to optimize for, especially as volumes will be doubling, tripling or so forth, so on and so forth. So making sure that your products are located in the right place in your warehouse. Now, obviously, it's a lot easier to do when you run your own fulfillment center and you know exactly which bins things are in, and you have a lot of oversight into that. But even if not, and even if you are working with a fulfillment partner, if you give them the advance notice of this is what I'm bundling together, make sure these items are nearby each other, especially if you have a very large SKU count, which we see a lot more in the apparel spaces. You want to make sure you're putting the right categories together or putting the right products together where you're going to be bundling them. That's maybe less of an AI use case, but more of just a communication and tip for as you go into BFCM, whatever you can do to make sure everyone's on the same page and has the right context will be helpful. But to run this space optimization, again, a one-time export your bin locations, export your inventory on hand in those bin locations, and then export your sales data. And it'll give you insight into what you should place near each other based on historical sales data. Again, if you're running different sales going forward, give it that information so that it can then base it off of the future plan, not just historical sales, because you might be running different promotions. So everything I've talked about so far has been one-time use case to prep for BFCM. You take a spreadsheet, you feed that into your chat with giving it that context and asking it for the output. Now, the output can either be the recommendations itself, a SQL query that it ran that you might want to then use and run consistently. It can be an artifact that has images, which I'll show you a use case of that later. But whatever the output is, obviously be specific on what you're asking. And with this context of the large CSVs of data, of the line items, of the dimensions, of the locations, it should be able to give you really actionable insights just by you asking, rather than you having to try to run that through a data analytics tool or a team. You can try to run that yourself. So again, these were the one-time, the low-lift use cases. The more consistent ones, or the things you'd want to do over and over again, you can do by once you've proven this out, you have the artifact. You can take that and use a tool like a Retool or a Lovable to build out this app, which will consistently then ingest the data that you want. Again, if you only have CSVs, you don't have an integration, it creates a tool where you give it the CSV and it'll give you the output consistently. Or if you are using a tool that can integrate directly, it can then just get the data in real time and update the dashboard and give you actionable insight consistently. So once you've proven out that it can give you actionable insight, you can utilize it and invest in making it a tool that is repeatable. So those are the use cases for the inventory positioning, cartonization, warehouse space optimization. Just some examples really to help get the creative juices flowing for the ops team. There's a lot of use cases that are unique per business. For pots and pans companies, we see that the cartonization has the most upside because they're bulkier products. And so they want to make sure they're packaging it as effectively as possible. For the health and beauty companies that are maybe shipping much smaller products, they want to make sure that they're optimizing their AOV and looking at the sales data and how do I bundle things more effectively, or what are my types of consumers. So there's a lot of different use cases for the different categories of products, your business. Only you will know what will really help you the most. But now you don't have to bang your head against a wall trying to figure out what the right query is or trying to get a data analytics team. You can just take the raw data and ask AI to give you some actionable insights. You should, of course, always validate it and cross-check it and make sure that what it's providing is accurate. As while AI has gotten quite good, there are still some hallucinations. It can really be a powerful engine. As we get into BFCM, if these are some last-minute things that can help, you should try. So moving into the next use case here. So this is on the customer support side. So obviously, as you have a lot more orders coming in, you will want to make sure that your customer support agents are equipped to help, especially as we see going into BFCM, people hire a lot of temporary staff, you have a lot more volume. It's not what you normally need. So you want to make sure they're trained and equipped. And also, as people reach out to customer support while they're trying to place orders, you want to make sure you capture that demand as well. So some use cases we've seen for customer support. Again, the lowest lift way is training AI on common support questions that come in. So in most of your support tools, you can get an export of all of your ticketing data and the initial request and the answer and the resolution. You can easily feed that into any common chat, and you can get answers to commonly asked questions and create a quick one-sheeter for any new staff to easily answer those questions. That is the lowest lift. Okay, great. I now have this one-sheeter to feed the customer support agents. But the other, if you really want to automate it, obviously you can feed that back into the chat or have proposed answers come in. We've seen people build this tooling out themselves. Obviously, there are a lot of support tooling out there, ticketing softwares that do this as well and train automated agents on your historical data. So again, whatever, if you can transition prior to BFCM, great. If not, and keeping your same tooling like a Zendesk or Gladly or whatever that may be, you can just export the data and create one pagers and make it easy to define SOPs on that topic. And defining SOPs, even for any team, what AI is very good at is creating the context and the documentation. So if there's temporary workers you're going to be hiring in the warehouse or anywhere across their team, making sure to have those SOPs defined, and AI is very good at writing them, is a great use case as we get into busy season. And then finally, custom Slack bots. So we've seen this very commonly where it can train on internal data, and you can have a bot that your team members can ask questions for. So at Fulfil, and any Fulfil customer has access to a Fulfil bot where you can ask it questions on how Fulfil operates or internal questions on our side. And that's very helpful for people trying to learn. They live in Slack, so it can be a very easy way and a low lift way to get people the information they need. So that rounds out some of the customer service use cases. Again, the more data you can feed the AI, the better. So if you are using one of those automated ticketing tools like a rich panel, you want to make sure that it has access to the necessary data, whether that's the Shopify data or the Fulfil data, with our integration with them, to make sure that it has access to, okay, this is the current status, this is the tracking information. And so the agent's able to give far more information and actionable information to those teams. So those are some of the support use cases from an AI perspective. And so haven't seen too many questions come in. If you are evaluating utilizing AI and have some questions about a use case or something you're trying to implement or a problem you're trying to solve to see if you can use AI for it, please do throw those in the chat. I'd be happy to answer them as we come up towards the end of the session. And so I also thought it would be helpful to visualize some of the prompts and use cases. So want to maybe pull up some of the use cases of AI that we've created and used internally. So I can pull up some of these that have been shared before, and we've shared this publicly, and we'll drop a link in the chat for people who are more interested in this. But this is one of the use cases where I talked about the heat map of your sales data. So this was using our MCP connection, but as I said, you can easily export this data from Shopify if you need to with the delivery address and have it run the same analysis. And this is to figure out, where's my revenue coming from? What states? Where should I plan my fulfillment nodes? If I'm interested in opening up a retail store, where would I want to do that? As it's for BFCM, how should I load balance? Here, this merchant, obviously very heavily weighted towards the West Coast. So you can optimize your fulfillment around that. But there are obviously buyers in Texas, Florida, New York, where it would get expensive to ship if you only had inventory in the West Coast. And then to take it a layer deeper, if you are using Fulfil or you have a WMS with shipment costs, you could more easily run the analysis of, if I keep all my inventory in California, how much is it costing me to ship all those shipments to Texas and Florida and New York versus how much would it cost me if I had a fulfillment center in Ohio, which is very central. And it can help you run that analysis based on shipping cost by zone, and you can help make some of those determinations, especially if you have one of those new 4PL type models where they have a lot of fulfillment nodes, and you might be able to utilize some of their other fulfillment nodes. It can be helpful to run this analysis and move that inventory quickly before BFCM. And so that's one common use case. Again, very easy with the Fulfil MCP connector. It's just a quick integration that you set up, and we can send the links in the chat or in the follow-up question afterwards in the email. But once you set that up, it has access to your data warehouse and all of your data from sales, inventory, journal entries for financial analysis, things like that, all are there where you can ask these types of questions and get this kind of output. So this is the artifact I was talking about, where it can put together a actual image for you. But if you wanted to just give you the query and you put that into your own dashboard that you use, you can as well. So there's a lot of use cases there. Another use case I did want to highlight is one about the top sellers and how you want to do the bundling. So here is a sample output. It's not like a visualization tool, but it's actually giving you tactical products that you should combine. So these are your top 10 best sellers. These are your high margin products. These are where you have inventory. And then based on this, you should bundle this together. And I want to focus on this bundle for this channel because this seems to perform well. So it really takes into account all of those different considerations, which products, what the strategy should be, if there's channel specific strategy, and then comes up with that information. And so we gave it as much information as possible in these prompts and said, yes, factor all of this in for each channel. Give me these hero products. Give me the inventory risk assessment, expected performance, backup options. So again, it was a pretty in-depth prompt, but we did, the more context we give it, the better output we get. And then we got the exact answers of, this is how I would bundle things together based on the information you have. So you could copy and paste this exactly. We'll send the link to this exact prompt that we use, and it will give you the actual answers based on your sales data. And again, this does not have to come from Fulfil. This can come from the source channels, Shopify, Amazon, wherever you have your sales data, and you run this prompt and it should give you that information. And so we're happy to share that. An easier way to even share this type of information is using skills. So Claude introduced the idea of skills. And so with that, we have actually taken some of these prompts and taken some of these use cases and put them into a skill that you can download. So it's just a zip file that if you download it, you can upload it into your Claude account, and it will automatically use the prompts defined or the context defined in that skill when you ask the question. So for this, we have an example of a free shipping threshold analysis skill. If you download this and add it into your Claude, and then you ask it to run the free shipping threshold analysis on the sales data you provide, it will use all of the context we've already input into the skill and then give you the output. And similarly, we can share a similar skill for that prompt of the bundling, and we can create a bundling optimization skill that you can run no matter what the input is, wherever the input's coming from, as long as you give it the necessary data, which is just the sales lines and ideally channel segmentation and some more of the item details. It can really help you run this. So those are some ways to actually tactically implement it. So we'll share the exact prompt. We'll share some of these links to the skill, and you can easily run these analyses yourselves. And there's still enough time. We've got 3 weeks until BFCM really kicks off, although I know brands have been starting to run that a little earlier this year. And so you can still benefit from introducing better offers, optimizing your inventory position, all within reach with AI. Whereas historically, it might be too late for that. You would have had to have done a lot of this upfront, and it would have taken a lot more analysis and a lot more planning. AI gives you a lot more of that flexibility as you are planning and going into BFCM. So the last thing before we close out and leave some time for Q&A is, so what are some other tools you can use that are either AI first or easier lifts ways to implement these things? So some examples, obviously Fulfil, and we've talked about the use cases there. Parabola is another one that has some AI automation and can help you reconcile between carrier bills and what you're actually seeing on the rate shopping when you check to get those rates. You can automate some of your emails, ingest some images, things like that. So those are lower lift AI use cases there. Outer Signal is another AI tool we've seen a lot of merchants adopt, where it identifies high impact customers, whether that be celebrities, influencers. It might be the makeup artist of a famous celebrity or something like that. It can really crawl the web to understand what type of customer is buying from you and flag potential upside for you to maybe give that order a little extra attention. So we've seen a lot of merchants identify that, and would have been impossible with all of the sales data that you get and all the information about people and all the number of orders to do before AI. Now you can easily get a nice summary and flag potentially high priority customers that could have an outsized impact on your brand. So some interesting tools that are easy to adopt on the AI front. And now happy to open up to any questions. Anyone who wants to implement AI prior to BFCM or has a use case or a problem they're trying to solve, feel free to raise your hand. Happy to chat through it. We have a few minutes now. Or if you want to ask in the Q&A, I'm happy to answer it here, or we can follow up after the webinar as well. So there's a question in the chat for, does this require a paid Claude subscription? So to use any custom connectors, yes, you need a pro plan for Claude. So that is the that for like the MCP integration, you need a Claude pro account at least, or Teams, which are both paid. Some of their other skills and enabling skills do also require a pro account. So some of the use cases we talked about, but many of the use cases I talked about did not require a pro account. You can download a CSV, upload it as context, and you can add the prompts that we had already mentioned. So you can run most of these low lift with free AI tooling. But some of the ones that require the custom connectors or utilizing skills would require the paid account. There are many other use cases for those paid accounts as well, but they would be required here. Great questions. Definitely appreciate that. If anyone else has any, please do throw them in the chat. We are happy to dig in and help propose solutions or talk through a problem. I'm sure if you're having it, others will as well. I also did see another question come in, which is a really interesting and useful use case of AI around how can you tie in forecasting into Claude. So there's a lot of different ways you can do this, depending on how robust you want to get and what type of lift you want to do. As I mentioned, if you are a Fulfil merchant and you want to utilize the MCP integration, you can connect the Fulfil data. It has all of your historical sales, your product category data, and any other attribution you might need that would be relevant for forecasting. It has all of your historical purchasing data, so it sees the lead times and sees where you purchased from and at what price. And then it also obviously will have the relevant inventory and sales data. So you have all of that there. And then you can ask it to help you forecast. And there's a few different ways. It can either give you an output of what it thinks you will need to buy. It can do a full yearly buy plan for you based on last year. You can add different variations or different conditionals on what if this or that, and it can give you different buy plans based on that. Or if you really want it to help you make a tool that you can utilize and have your teammates use as a planning tool, that's where we get into building like the artifacts, which is what I mentioned is you can actually build this dashboard and interact with it. And once you've proven it out that the analysis is right and it's working, you can turn that tool into something you can reuse. So Claude will give you that initial version based on the existing data and the initial pull it does from our data warehouse. But then if this is a tool that you'll want to use consistently, that's when you'd want to migrate it to a different tool that can be hosted and reused and just pre-populated with the data consistently. And so that's one way. And Claude is very good at answering questions of like what if I run this sale and have 20% growth, or rather than 20%, it's 50%. And then it'll give you all of those forecasts based on those conditionals, which is great for. But then if you want to just run actual SKU analysis, category analysis, oftentimes we see the merchandising and planning team just prefer spreadsheets. And now spreadsheets are great. They give you a lot of options for manipulation and are very flexible, but you don't want to have to manually input data into those spreadsheets. So we can also share a link where you can take the Fulfil data out of the data warehouse and just pre-populate the sheets so that you're constantly getting fed live data of inventory, sales, and all of that. So a lot of different ways that you can utilize the data in Fulfil for forecasting, and utilizing AI for forecasting. It's getting pretty good at doing it. It'll need to be fine-tuned for your specific use case, your data, the analysis you want to run, but with enough prompting, it can definitely be very valuable. And again, I'm happy to make it so that this is as applicable to non-Fulfil merchants as well. A lot of these use cases for AI really can just use the Shopify data you have or your inventory data that you have. So definitely a lot of ways that anyone on this call can utilize AI to still capture some upside going into BFCM. I know it's a busy time of year, and wherever you can make your teams more efficient, you should definitely be trying to, and AI is a great way to do that. So if there are any more questions, happy to answer them. I don't know, Jessica, if there's a use case that you found particularly impactful or you'd hope to see implemented or have any questions about. I'm curious if anything resonated.
Actually, I do have a couple of like questions that people submitted before the workshop. If you're down to like go into that.
Let's do it.
Okay, cool. How do you leverage targeted deals that drop CAC enough to be profitable on the first purchase?
Interesting. So I actually think that you could, I don't know if this was a question that they were expecting a direct answer to, but I'll give an answer as to how you can use AI to get that. The one missing piece of data that we maybe wouldn't have in Fulfil with some of the data I've told you to export or in Shopify directly is your CAC. So if you provide that, and then based on your previous order data, it can pretty easily shoot out an answer as to what does, like, at least to be first order profitable, like what does your CAC need to lower to, or what does your AOV need to increase to? Like, what is the combination of those numbers that'll make sense, especially if you are doing self-fulfillment and you have some more of that fulfillment costing data, or even if you're not doing self-fulfillment, if you can feed it that inventory costing and shipping costing data, it can get very granular to actually get to first order profitability. So not just your product COGS, which you need to have as well, but CAC, what your shipping costs are, anything that it costs to get that first order to the customer, including the acquisition cost. That's going to then be kind of what your contribution margin is. And that's AI is very good at analyzing that. So if you give it the right data, and all the only data that we haven't fed it already based on this conversation is CAC, it should be able to give you that answer.
Awesome. Okay. Um, What are the common ways that people are implementing AI in order to keep a closer eye on basic performance at all times?
Interesting. So I do think there are a few ways you can use AI to monitor the data as it comes in. So depending on, I'm assuming when they say performance, they're talking about ad spend performance, which is again, I'd say not necessarily within the wheelhouse of Fulfil. When I think performance during BFCM, my default is ops and are they delivering on time and how's our fulfillment rate? But there's definitely ways you can utilize AI to monitor all of your data, whether that's ops or um, performance marketing data. It just depends on what platforms you're utilizing and what their kind of accessibility to the data is, whether that's via an MCP integration. So anything that offers MCP, which for those who don't know, it's kind of like a AI version of a API. So it's what that AI model has access to, what data points. And so if the tooling you're utilizing does have MCP integrations or connectors to these platforms, that'll make it a lot easier for the AI to monitor and make sure that it's keeping track of any variances or helping you uh, respond to changes. So, yeah, those would be the some of the ways, but I know that's not quite as tactical. Again, marketing's maybe not my wheelhouse as much, but there are many ways you can do that.
Okay, this is actually not on the list, but I am curious. What would you say is like the limitation when it comes to using AI in this sense?
So I don't want to say limitation. I did kind of allude to this in that while the models have gotten very, very good, it's only as good as the inputs and the context given. So you really want to know what context is going to be relevant. So in that prompt I shared in the last example, like in that LinkedIn post, you could see the prompt was very long. I was very specific as what I wanted. And then I also fed it a lot of data. And so that gave it the opportunity to succeed because it knew this is what the data is needed. This is the data I have accessible to me. This is what the output's expected. This is some information that I can use to give them the right output. If you just ask a broad question of like, what should I bundle together? You might get a response. It just might not be the most helpful. Whereas if you ask for, these are the variables, these are the different things I care about, show me all of these different combinations, and then I can make an informed decision, that's a far better approach because then you're getting and gleaning information that you can make decisions on. You're not just outsourcing your thinking to the AI. Use the AI for what it's good at, which is sifting through a lot of unstructured data or data that would be hard for you to analyze yourself, and then surfacing information in actionable ways. But you still need to have that oversight and tweak it and know your data because garbage in is garbage out. So you might be feeding it some not the best data. We've seen Shopify where some people are creating orders from draft orders where they have no SKU or the pricing's wrong or there's no attribution on the product. So if that data isn't there, it can't tell you as much as you'd like. So you still have to be intimately familiar with what you're trying to accomplish and what the data is and your products and your sales, and you should have an idea. It might surprise you and you might get some new information, but you have to have the knowledge yourself to be aware and be able to tweak it and fine tune it. So those would be the things I would uh, highlight as not limitations, just things to be cognizant of. And yes, it still does hallucinate at times. You will have to tweak it and you will have to say, okay, this is wrong, feed it this way. And that's right, it does take some iterations. You can't just say, this is what I want, let it run and come back 15 minutes later and you have everything you need. There's a time investment in going back and forth, but it enables you to do things that wouldn't have been possible before.
Okay, and then this is actually drawn from that question. Um, and we also received this in the questions prior to the webinar. Um, but if like someone were to be like a complete beginner, like they haven't started anything, they have no clue where to start, what would you like, what advice would you give them?
So it's very easy to get overwhelmed. I was in that position even a few months ago of, I don't know what this stuff does. It seems far-fetched. I don't believe that it can do it. And I know what I'm doing. I don't need to bother. That's very much like, I'd say, while AI adoption has been pretty impressive and very quick, it's definitely something we've seen. And there's a bit of a fear involved, which I get it. But and even reading about it conceptually sounds great. But the only real way to figure out how you can get the most value out of it is by doing. And the more reps you do and the muscle you build and working with AI, it will unlock so much more. So just starting to use it, which is why I really wanted to take this session to go through tactical, specific use cases for, this is an example of how you could use it. This is a prompt you can use, because just start there. Implement any of the use cases we talked about today. Get an export of your order data. Ask it this prompt. See what you get. Or even, and some of these were pretty complicated prompts that like will have a lot of upside, but you can go far simpler. And just ask it any questions, incorporate it into your day-to-day, have it draft an email for you. Like, just start using the free version of ChatGPT or of Claude. And that's, just use it consistently and ask it questions, have it be your default. It's a collaborator. All of my output comes from there. And once you build that habit and once you start seeing it work, it starts helping you get more creative as to how you can get value out of it. So I don't want to maybe give you a direct answer if this is how you should start. It really is unique to each person of where it can unlock the value, but only you will know.
As a final question for you, you've given us like a lot of like really in-depth use cases for this one, but based on your experience with working with brands, which use case have you seen? Which use case do you think really moves the needle from your experience?
It's a good question. I would say the one that is the lowest lift, where there is the most upside, was the like that bundling optimization one, because it's something where there's very little risk of, oh, I want to introduce this bundle or a promotion during some of my sales promotions. And we've seen a lot of people have a lot more stickiness with their bundle sales just by analyzing the data and understanding, okay, these products are very commonly purchased together. I'm not going to say that's the most upside. That's from like a top line perspective. For me personally, being in the ops world, the thing I've seen the most value in is with some of that planning functionality and load balancing and getting your inventory in the right place, or getting warned about low inventory, things like that, I think just having more ready access to the data is the unlock. And then whatever query you choose to run or prompt you choose to do, like, it is unique per business, and each business will get different queries they get the most value out of, which is why we're going to try to build up that those skills so everyone has those applications. But it is unique, and everyone should use it in the way where they'll get value out of it. Is the best part about it. There's no limitation. There's no structure. You're able to use it how you see fit. Just feed it the data it needs.
Awesome. Thank you. Okay, one like super final question. What is like the weirdest or the most different or unique use case you've seen?
Unique use case I've seen. So I have seen when people are running sales analyses being very surprised by some of their own sales data of which products. So maybe not the weirdest, but there's been some very surprising, not hero products, but products that when bundled together started outperforming their hero products. So it was a very fun analysis to run with them, where people go in with preconceived notions of what they think they know about their products. And again, simple dashboards will show these are your products that sell the best. But then when you go a level deeper and you go into, these are things that get sold together, or you go a level deeper on like, this item isn't bought often, but could be with this type of promotion. Like, there are things you learn based on just asking the right questions and now being able to get more actionable insights that I think it's not maybe the most weird use case, but the most surprising. And I think the surprising ones are the most have the most upside because you're learning something more about your business that you wouldn't have been able to otherwise figure out.
Definitely. Well, thank you for your time. Everybody, actually, hopefully you are walking away with a clear picture of how AI can help you and how it can make BFCM planning a whole lot easier. And not just BFCM, but like planning for anything that you have in store for your business, especially as we're moving quickly into Q4 and back and into Q1. Will be what's like the next step for you guys? Is there anything that you want to like highlight from your end,
Nope.
Kabir?
I think thank you all for joining. Hopefully you took away some actionable insights on prompts you can use or ways you can get value out of AI. But feel free to reach out to our team. We'll be sending an email coming out of this session with some of these links that were shared and some of the instructions on how to implement some of these things. So good luck with your BFCMs, everyone, and hopefully AI can help you get through it this year.